Hello, Revernauts, and welcome back to the RSA, the Reverstan Space Agency. I am Chief Engineer Rever, and I am excited to get this episode going so we can get some of our basics out of the way, and maybe in the next week's episodes we'll be able to go to the moon and back. Let's see where we're at with our missions. In this series, we're mostly going to be following these SETI contracts, and we have an orbit and recovery, which we almost did in one of the last episodes, but we crashed back to Earth instead of actually recovering the vessel. So what I would like to do is just use the same vessel real quickly and try to get up into space. We'll get 9 science from it, which is good, and we'll get 30,000 completion bonus, right? So we'll up our money a little bit, which won't hurt us, and yeah, and I think we're all ready to go, really, because, let me see, I came in here just before starting up the video recording, and we have Puncher 1 here, and Puncher 1, got into space. The one thing I'd like to do with Puncher 1 here, maybe 2 things, is at the time, I don't know if we had the right adapters, right? So let's come here, and I'm going to take off, like, the bottom part of the rocket. And I'm going to take off this, well, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to take this decoupler and I'm going to scale it down. Now, doesn't that look a lot better? I don't know why I didn't think of that. And it might even cost us a little bit less money, I think, when you scale some of these things. And then let's see, can we have something that it'll be structural. And we could put an adapter on there just to make it look a little bit less, crap, to be blunt. Here we go, and then we'll take this guy and we'll scale him down to 50% and pop this guy back on. Yeah, I don't know that the price changed at all, and let's make sure we didn't mess up our staging. Nope. Now another thing I'd like to do, even though it'll add a little bit more money and we kind of know this works, is to take off these rockets and then take off these decouplers, because in the last episode, we got these radial decouplers, and let's hit X to increase the symmetry. So we'll do a double symmetry there, right? And then let's see if we can't put these guys on. Probably is, here, let's turn this way a little bit. It's a little bit hard to see, but we'll go down, put them down as low as we can get them. Right? There we go. So let's zoom out and look at our rocket. Doesn't that look much better? Some slight changes. Didn't really cost us a little bit more money. But now these decouplers here will hold these rockets a little further away, and I'm hoping it makes me a little less nervous about that. Now, another thing I'd like to do, I think, is we have command and control here, right? We do have a small inline reaction wheel on here already, which is plenty for that. And then we do have the swivel engine. So we'll go with this. I was thinking of if we had a bigger reaction wheel. But this is, down and dirty. One other thing to keep in mind is we don't want to get too many parts on this thing. So now another part that I really wouldn't mind having. Yeah, this thing's just so tiny. What is a solar panel? How much do they cost? A solar panel would cost us $75, and it doesn't really weigh much of anything. And if we put them on here, we wouldn't be bringing them back. But if we get into space and we start using a lot of power, then we don't have to worry about the power, right? And I don't want to add too much weight. Now, we could add a battery. Yeah, do we have a little battery that we can put on there? What does that guy look like? Yeah, that's... We're just putting the battery on there. How do we affect our... Oh, why do we not have... Oh, because we don't have the staging. Okay, let's take these 2 down here so we don't blow them off right as soon as we go to launch. Yeah, the problem we have now is that because we added that much extra weight, we're really not going to be, it's going to be really hard pressed to get into space. So let's just see if we take this battery back off. Yeah, we're really, Yeah, we really don't quite have enough. Let's see. This is that fuel tank. Can we add just a little? There we go. So, I want just that little bit extra. It doesn't really increase the cost. Now, it means we're going to have to relook. Well, the delta V, what I'm thinking of is, if I'm remembering right, we hit a fair amount of atmosphere. So we might even want to take these guys down a little bit more. Let's just try like 4. Can we get it to like 135? So we'll start launching a little bit slower, but maybe we'll hit a little bit less atmosphere. Instead of going with 1.5 like we did before. And it shouldn't affect us other than, yeah, it will burn a little bit longer. We will still have the same amount of delta V, and we might hit less atmospheric resistance, which will be good for doing a better maneuver, right? Okay, so let's rename this guy Puncher 3, since he's, oops, what happened there? 3, okay. And then we'll just save them. Yes, overwrite. Okay, good. So there's Puncher 3. All right, so let's go back out to the launch pad. Right? We have, well, let's do all our staging. Let's do it here so we don't, yeah, so we need the parachutes to not be deployed when that gets deployed. All right, boom, boom, boom. Yep, cut that off. Yep, the bottom engine down there I can see. Blow those off, blow those off. Good, I think, it's a lot of stuff to launch this little guy, but I think we'll comfortably get into orbit, and on the ground or in the air we'll have, before this guy fires, this will give us control, when these guys are firing going through the atmosphere, and then this will give us control as we're up closer to orbit because it has gimbaling. And then once we get into space, this guy, the Pomeranian, does it have gimbaling? I think it does. Yeah, it has gimbal, plus we have the reaction wheel, which the reaction wheel will work for us, but it's going to be, it's not a significant force in moving this huge thing. So the reaction wheels won't help us that much, but we do have it for maneuvering this guy once we get into space. And then now we made the improvement of solar panels, and we can't do any more science, right? No, so we have all that. Now, another thing we could probably, well, if we come to land on Earth, or Kerbin, whatever, if we land in the water, this won't do us any good, but I don't mind that it's adding a little bit of weight to it, for the fact that we could get some seismometer reading if we landed back on the planet. Now, the other thing is we didn't really increase the weight here that much, so I think this chute is probably fine still. Okay, so I think we thought of everything, I hope. That's always the worst thing in this game, is that you don't think of everything. So let's just save that again, just for the sake of it. And then, all right, let's launch. Too many parts. Ah, really? Unable to launch. Okay. What did we put on there? You know what? I know what we can do. Let's, even though I just sat there talking about the seismometer, right? Now we don't have the seismometer on there anymore. Well, that took off a fair amount of weight. Yeah, so that won't hurt. Okay, yeah, 30 parts. That's our max until we upgrade the vehicle assembly building, which it seems like we'll have to do pretty shortly, right? All right, so let's turn on SAS, and we'll just use stability assist. And I'm going to turn off this battery thing for now. And is there any reason we can't launch? Our staging should be good. Our parachutes, let's hope they're good. Let's turn off some of this stuff. Yeah, really, the thing I want to see is this. Now, we're going to keep an eye on up here and try to keep our time to apoapsis like under 2 minutes, between 1 minute and 2 minutes once we get one. And then, so as we get up, the tricky part about this is we're going to want to try to get, I'd like to try to shoot for an apoapsis height of about 100,000 meters, right? Or 100 kilometers, however you want to word that. And I'll leave science open down here. Okay, I think we're ready to launch. Let's get to it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go up a little bit more slowly. We'll kind of go straight up until we get some velocity. Hopefully we'll go straight up. Then we'll be able to use our aerodynamics, especially when you get to like over 100 meters a second. And we want to get a little more than that, but I can see we're starting to go the other direction a bit, so we'll just kind of get them. I don't want to lean to the right or the left. I want to lean to the right a little bit, if anything. And we don't want to get too far aside, but I'm just going to start leaning to that 90-degree inclination. Staying in the, if you go out of that yellow ball, you're not going up as efficiently. Now, sometimes you want to change your direction greatly, right? But, if you can help it, just kind of bring that guy, like, just naturally, in a sense, over. Keep that, keep turning. We're kind of getting a little wonky. And we don't want to go up too much of an angle until we get done these solid fuel boosters. Let's turn our throttle up to about 50%. Stop the rotation. Stage it. There we go. Whoa. Whoa. Stop the rotation. Yep, let's turn. Our apoapsis is getting up there, so we're going to kind of come back down with it a bit. Stop the rotation. All right, cut the engines. So we got a 2-minute apoapsis, right? So what we want to do is wait until we catch up with our apoapsis in a minute, right? Or yeah, literally about a minute. So let's stop rotating. See, the problem is now without these engines going, those small reaction wheels don't have a lot of control, right? So what we're going to do is that our trajectory will come back down to us, if that makes sense. So what I want to do is, we're really rotating more than so I'm just doing like small control things. Try to get us stabilized. And then how much delta V do we have left? We have 39 seconds, so I don't know that we need it all to get into orbit, but I'm going to burn like not 100%. So we're going to go burn at about this angle once that gets down to about a minute, which we're at now. So let's burn like 50%. We don't want to increase that apoapsis height too much. But we need to do, let's, as we get closer, we don't want to increase that too much. So let's burn a little bit slower. Yeah, and then we're going to bring it down. Really, the spinning I'm not happy with. We don't want to burn down too much. See, I'm trying to keep that around a minute, right? Like I don't want to get too far. Like once it catches up with you, like then you have a problem, right? Like I don't mind that it's getting slower. But see, now it's like stabilized. Oh, come on. Stop spinning so much. Why are you? Yeah, we're going to try to put it right on there, horizontal to the planet. There we go. That's nice. All right, let's slow down. So we didn't really get... I'm going to let that catch up for a minute, right? How much delta V do we have left? 9 seconds, not that much. So Yeah, I just want to get closer to the apoapsis before we burn again, because we wasted some fuel burning like we did. And we're not in an orbit yet, right? So that's kind of a big problem. So we're just going to wait till that time. I don't know if you guys can see all these things. We got about 40 seconds there. And I just want to maximize out our burn time here. Burn close to the apoapsis and hopefully get that periapsis height up as much as we can, right? With this engine, because we will have to be using the last stage then. I don't know if we actually have enough. All right, so we're going to burn now. Cut it off. So that's good. So we're actually in an orbit. It's not a very concentric orbit, but we are in an orbit. And it's because this is above 70, we won't hit the atmosphere again. And so we are officially in an orbit. Let's take a look. Yep, in orbit. So we've got this checked off. I don't think we have to spend any particular time in the orbit, right, for this mission. So the thing that we need to do now is go around to the apoapsis. Now I did add another thing that we didn't use, I don't think, in the last one, but we have this Kerbal alarm clock. And if we come up here, we can say add an alarm, and it says, well, what do you want to do? I want to do the apoapsis or periapsis, apoapsis. I think I always call it the apoapsis, but whatever. So there we go. It's a little bit funny with the enlarged text, but how many minutes do you want ahead? And 3 minutes is going to be fine, right? Like 3 minutes is plenty of time. So what we can do is say, add the alarm, right? Wherever I do add the alarm. Show extra details, no. We can't upgrade. We have to upgrade the tracking. I was wondering where the button is to go and save it. Okay, well, we need to upgrade that tracking station kind of ASAP, because we can do many more things like maneuvers, and I didn't realize we couldn't set the alarm clock, but that's okay. All right, so let's, how do we get out of this? There we go. All right, so let's get rid of that. All right, so that gives us another mission to, get some more money so that we can upgrade that tracking station, which I don't think is the most expensive thing. Now, I'm going to turn off the SAS since it doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot anyway. And let's take a look at our actual rocket. Yeah, so we still have the big part of the rocket going. And I think what I would like to do is burn it, and hopefully we don't leave any space debris, right? So what I'll do is even though it'll be a little bit cumbersome, and you don't want to go too fast, but I'm going to try to flip around till we're pointing retrograde. And then when we get closer to our apoapsis, we can burn a little bit with this rocket and come back out of our orbit, right? And we might be a total waste of, see, this is where you don't want to go too fast. Stop spinning, please. There you go. All right. And then once we release this big part of the ship, which I don't know how well you guys can see for the thing, we will be better off with our react. So this is where I'm saying, like, those reaction wheels aren't big enough to really control this thing. So let's do 10 times speed until we get around to, say, time to apoapsis. So it's at 3 minutes now. We'll take it down to about a minute. Be close enough. And we don't really even have to wait this long, but there we go. So we're down to about a minute. Let's try to get it pointing more or less retrograde. And what that'll do is that'll slow down our orbital speed, which means Come on back. Yeah, so this is all on the reaction wheel. So there's just limited control. All right, so now let's just real slowly burn this, and we'll keep an eye on our periapsis, which right now is 101, and we'll try to take that down to about 35. $36. Yep, there we go. So now the smart thing about what we did, other than we now have way too much fuel, like we brought a whole thing of fuel that we don't need. And the reason I did what I did here is now that when we release this guy, right, I'm going to hit the staging. Right, now we have our little satellite. Now the good thing is that this is like we can launch satellites that are completely self-contained with Puncher 3 here, right? So let me put on SAS and see if this guy, yep, see he'll stop his own rotation and whatnot. And the waste of the whole thing is, let's put him on sit and retrograde. See how fast he's moving around now? Now why are you, yeah, there you go. Give him a little help. And stop the rotation. We really have a rotating problem with this thing for some reason. I don't know why that is. There we go. So now are we picking, let's take a look at our electrical charge. And we're not picking up enough sun. We can change the direction we're facing to get that facing. If we click on this, say like 0 sun exposure. Status direct sunlight. Yeah, so some of this was a waste of money and time, like this whole entire thing of fuel, but this is a satellite that could sit in space and you can readjust its orbit, so we really didn't do too bad in some respects. All right, so let's get this one over with. We're going to stage again and get rid of that because we don't want to bring that guy back, right? So, and because we're suborbital now, these parts will eventually hit the atmosphere and burn up and won't end up space debris. There we go. So we're going to blow that guy off as well. And then let's just speed up time until we get to, it'll slow us down when we get to 70,000. And then we should realign ourselves with, I can't really see. Yep, there we go. Auto slowed down. And then because we left this on retrograde, we'll come in facing backwards, which is what you want to do when you have the shield on there. I don't know why we ended up, well, I don't know why our camera view is what it is. Let's go. There we go. So you can see we should come down probably in this ocean somewhere, which is just as well we got rid of the seismometer. Like when you see this periapsis here, once we start really hitting the atmosphere, you'll see this you'll see the periapsis. See, we're hitting the atmosphere already, and the periapsis is dropping very quickly. Now pretty soon we'll start getting once we get into this dark blue zone, we'll start getting some red on here. And I'm going to be quiet for a minute, and we'll let this thing land itself. Okay, we've punched back through the atmosphere, and now what I'm waiting for, let's see. I want to see what happens here. Let's slow time down. All right, I want to hit this staging. All right, and I don't think that this thing is actually deployment failed too high. That's fine, but let's see. Let me click on this. And if we don't hit ARM, we should be at 3,000, and this thing And I want to be real ready to hit this thing. So if at 3,000 it doesn't, I think we need to arm that parachute if we want it to actually deploy on its own, which is definitely not the way it used to be, but now see, it's not doing it. So there we go. So I clicked the staging thing again, and then it actually deployed, which is good. Yep, that's what we expect. And when it gets down to 700, yep. Now, one of the things we want to do is let's click off a vessel and hit surface. See, we're coming down at 3 vertical speed. So this parachute is well capable of a load of like whatever we have like now, 325. Does it tell us? Yeah, let's go back to vessel. 310. So we could probably do at least twice as much weight on just one of these parachutes and still be, I'd like to come down at about 7 at the most, because when you start coming down more than that, like 10, you really start running into problems. So keep that in mind, because these chutes are really, it's just not the clearest thing. Let's speed up some time, since this will take a while to get to the ground anyway. And get rid of that parachute message. But there we are. So now can we do science here? No, but we might be able to do some science when we hit the, and I really didn't pay much attention to the science through the whole thing. That would have been smart, huh? So once we hit the ground, we might be able to do a little science on the water. We'll see. And we'll slow down for the last little bit, because why not? Then once again, I need to remember to get rid of that ablator. And we definitely had enough battery charge. That's good to know too. And we should, once we recover the vessel, complete a contract too. Yeah, we can do a telemetry report. So why not? Might as well just keep the experiment. So this won't be the most science-filled thing that we ever did. So let's recover the vessel for what it's worth. A couple $1,000 anyway, I think. Yeah, so that was pretty costly to complete that, but we got 30 grand, so we could have done that much more efficiently. But we also know that we could also increase the size of our satellite, and we've learned a little bit. So we got 14 science, not too bad, better than nothing. And we only got 600 back. So that's not so great. All right, very good. So now we have, let's go ahead and take a look. Yep, contract completed. So we got, more money, 30,000. Though it cost us a fair amount for that. But we got 9 science from that. So we're up over 200 science, which is good, because it's in 45 or 90, so we can get 2 90 sciences. And let's take a look at what our next mission will be, and I think we'll see if we can't do it. So moon flyby, yeah, we could definitely do that. Now they want us to keep going with the probes, right? Which is okay. Now the other thing we could take a look at, well, let's close this one, is Tourism Plus. So this is an orbit to take the pilot plus this guy, Tito Kerman, above this and go into orbit for 4 minutes. So let's go back to SETI contracts and say, we also have this manned orbit here. So we could do these 2 missions at once, but we would have to change our cockpit. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I think we might, take this one. So we're going to do them a little bit out of orbit, but I feel like, this would be 75 grand to complete this one. And then if we look at Tourism Plus, it would be 100,000 to complete this one. Now, so let's go ahead and take those 2 contracts. And then we'll go to SETI contracts. So we're going to try to see if we can't get a 2-man capsule up into orbit. So let's leave the facility. And how much is this? This is going to cost us more money than we have. So we need to stay under 30 parts, right? Because we don't have the money for that. So it's going to have to be a fairly simple vessel. But let's go ahead and enter it. And I guess we should, puncher 2 is really just the same thing as puncher, as this one without all the stuff on the bottom, or without all, without a satellite. So let's take off the bottom part, and then we're going to we'll grab this and get rid of that, right? We're going to do puncher 4 here. And unfortunately, we don't have any vessel. Yeah, we don't have any. Yeah, we need to leave. Let's just leave. Hopefully that doesn't mess us up. And we need to come over here, and we need to get some kind of a bigger control thing. Yeah, we don't need all of that just yet. Advanced construction. What we need is like a 2-man capsule. Basic science. Okay, where is a 2-man capsule? Flight control. There we go. Look, 2-man capsule, but that will cost us simple command modules. 1. Okay, so we could. What do we need? Not landing. Yeah, this is pretty heavy, but. And this guy could take 3. Yeah, this is what we need. So if we did flight control, that'll give us some stuff. Yeah, let's go ahead and get the 3-man capsule, because that'll get us, we're going to use up a lot of our science here, but we'll get the capsule here that we could possibly use, and that will get us these 2 missions done. Hopefully we'll have enough of everything else we need, because we're not going to, we could do another one of these little researches, the 45 researches. So let's come back into here. Yeah, we kind of messed up our spacecraft, so let's load. Contains locked or invalid parts. What? Science, why do we lose that? That's weird. Yeah, what would that's a, I would have to call that a glitch. All right, well let's see. Can we go to here? What is that? No, that's like the first thing we ever did. All right, so let's go ahead and just start from scratch, I guess, Now this guy weighs 1.56 kilograms. Now what I don't understand is the mass is 1.56 tons, but that's not, even if you do like metric tons, that doesn't make any sense, right? It's certainly not in imperial English units. But in any event, so this is a pretty heavy thing that we need to build around. But we'll try to keep it really simple if we can. And the first thing I want to do is put a heat shield on the bottom. No. So we're not going to, see, this thing's just too big, isn't it? Yeah. So let's not start with this one. Let's start with the P. All right, we don't need to be fancy. And this thing's pretty big too, isn't it? Yeah, this is crew capacity 1, 3. Yeah, what's the smallest one? Yeah, that was the smallest one. But the P is a little bit different shape, so we can, looks like we could use the heat shield that we were talking about there. But let's put a little bit of a command and control on this guy, right? Yeah, so we'll do the heat shield. Yeah, see that should be better. And then what does this thing have as far as command and control goes? So do we have an ablator? Oh, it has an ablator on it. I can't really see because this is in the way. Yeah, so I wonder if that even needs a heat shield, but I'm going to put that on there just to be safe. How's that sound? And it has a decoupler. Okay, so it has all that stuff. I think we just take our chance and let this thing. Yeah, see there, it has a decoupler already on it to like blow it out at the very end. So let's go down to parachutes. And now we know that we could go twice as much. So we're definitely going to want, you know, a bigger parachute. Now the question is, we don't really know that much about this one. And that looks goofy. And see, that's fine and bigger, but real cone chute. Yeah, that just doesn't look right. Real cone stack chute. I haven't seen that one before. Well, let's put one of these on, and then we're going to put 2 of these on, because I think these are pretty close to the equivalent of that. Try not to block any of their windows, right? So that should get us, I think, enough parachute at that point. And yeah, so now it's just a matter of getting that thing into space, but we could probably talk about how much electrical do we have. We click on this, not much. Let's take this off and put a battery. Yeah, that upped our battery quite a bit. And we probably, let's put a couple solar panels because they're cheap. Oh, I seem to have messed up and made the recording a little bit too long for the rendering software to do its thing. It gets to be too many gigabytes, and then it just sits there and spins indefinitely. So I hope you guys have enjoyed part 1 of this episode. I will put these both up in the same day, so if you want to watch part 2, you should be able to do it immediately. So I hope you have enjoyed the video. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in part 2. Bye-bye.